I saw you dancing in a crowded room. You look so happy when I'm not with you. But then you saw me, caught you by surprise. A single teardrop falling from your eye. I don't know why I ran away. I make you cry when I run away. You could have asked me why I broke your heart. You could have told me that you fell apart. But you walked past me like I wasn't there, and just pretended like you didn't care. I don't know why I ran away. I make you cry when I run away. Take me back, cause I wanna stay. Save your tears for another. Save your tears for another day. Save your tears for another day. I made you think that I would always stay. I said some things that I should never say. I broke your heart like someone did to mine. Now you won't love me for a second time. I don't know why I ran away. I make you cry when I run away. Take me back, cause I wanna stay. Save your tears for another. I realize that I'm much too late, and you deserve someone better. Save your tears for another day. Save your tears for another day. Save your tears for another day. Save your tears for another day.
Welcome. We are back. Another day in the market. A nice screen day for the first time in I think a week pretty much. So good bounce back for the market today. If you watched last night's stream, I was saying that I was looking for a bounce in the short term. Getting that bounce right now. I'm going to talk about what could be next potentially in the next 10-15 minutes when we get to the market segment. We're going to start off with crypto and talk about some other markets. I'll talk about my thoughts on the overall stock market, and then we'll do taker requests. You know the drill unless you're new, and now you do know the drill if you're new. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Starting off with Bitcoin, good. All right, it is bouncing off previous resistance and potentially flipping it into a support. That 20K, 19.9K, that general area. That is a very key level that you're bouncing off of, and on the daily, this is going to confirm in about 4 minutes. When the daily candle closes, you got a bullish pin bar candle at that level. So I think this is the best Bitcoin has looked since it broke down over here. Good news is you don't have much resistance. You know, maybe if we really zoom here, you got a little bit of resistance around 24K from this week of consolidation around Christmas 2020. But other than that, you don't have much backup until 28K really. So not a lot of resistance. 24, 25K you got a little bit, but this is a good start. We'll see what happens over the next few days, and this is something I'm going to be talking about a lot tonight, but look for this to happen. Okay, look for this to happen. Potential for classic bullish is there. So look for that MACD to start waning back towards green. Bullish hammer off support with classic bullish divergence and you're oversold. Those are some very interesting variables. So that's really what I'd be looking for the next couple of days on Bitcoin. Hopefully that develops and plays out, but we'll see what happens. At this point, as long as you're above 19.9K, looks okay to me. Moving on to Ethereum, which hit that Gartley PCZ. It's also showing a bullish pin bar candle. It also has the potential for classic bullish divergence. So imagine this, right? You have the PCZ of a bullish Gartley. You have a bullish hammer, bullish pin bar candle on the daily. You have high volume at these lows, and you're oversold, and you have classic bullish divergence. If that divergence starts developing, I think this is a pretty strong edge for Ethereum to maybe get a short-term bounce. So I think that the variables are finally starting to shift a bit, at least in the short term, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, which in turn, if those do play out, could affect a lot of other altcoins. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of days, maybe over the weekend. And let's move on to other markets now. Starting off with the 10-year, first pullback in a while today. And also that's taking place on the first green day for the market in a while. But yeah, just a little bit of a blow off the top type of candle. If we go on to lower time frames, I'd probably look at it like this. If you break that 3.26 level, that would pretty much be a little bit of a breakdown, almost a double top there. So keep an eye on that level short term for the 10-year. For crude oil, we were talking about how this was breaking down yesterday, and yeah, it confirmed a breakdown. And where did it go right to? The level we were talking about, this 115 level, which used to be resistance. It's held it for now as support, but only after breaking down from this wedge. I do think that you could see a breach of that support in the next week or so. We'll see what happens. Maybe you get a back test first, who knows? But this could help out with bringing some prices down. We'll see. That's where you're at for right now. Moving on to metals, gold bouncing back a bit. This is interesting now, right? So the overall idea for the last few days with silver and gold was the hidden bearish divergence on the MACD, the bear flags, the bearish engulfing candles, the gold breaking under the 200-day moving average, silver breaking under a critical support. But today, we got a bullish engulfing candle on gold and on silver. So that's actually really interesting. You get this bullish engulfing candle, no divergence, but you could start to look at it like this as well. You made one low, May. Now you're working on trying to make a higher low. So maybe that bearishness is just playing out very, very quickly. It's a make or break area in general for both silver and gold, but definitely keep an eye on these areas. Like overall, if you're able to start really holding these areas, that could probably send you back up to the top of the range. You just retest the bear flag and then sell off again. That's probably going to lead to a while of selling off. So that's really how I'm looking at the two of them. Moving on to the dollar currency index, that's also fallen today. Not much to talk about here. It's pretty similar to the US 10-year. They're both moving very similarly. I probably look at this as a right-angled ascending broadening wedge, which is bearish. Really chart it like this. So you got a right-angled ascending broadening wedge, which means you could see a breakdown unless you somehow hold this and this 1 hour hammer plays out and maybe rally back up. But bearish pattern, the probability says this breaks down and not up. Anything's possible, and this has been going straight up, so we'll see in time. Then moving on to the Hang Seng Index, 2 days now bouncing back after pulling back last week. It does have this gap fill around 21.5K. Maybe it's headed towards that. And those are your other markets. So let's head on over to equities now. Let's talk about the VIX first. Filling a gap, gapped up on the VIX on June 13th. And I guess that was Monday. So on Monday, the VIX gapped up. Horrible day for the market. And you fill that gap today. Pretty much filled the gap and then bounced off of it. Nothing really too crazy. I don't really see much of an edge here. So that's where you're at on the VIX right now. Let's talk about the overall market. So my general thoughts coming into today, if you watched last night's stream, we had that high volume, lower Bollinger Band signal. We had a lot of days of selling off prior to a major catalyst. If you watched last night's stream, I was saying last week on Thursday, which was the day before major catalysts, on Friday it's CPI. So last week on Thursday, we had an end of day breakdown, right? Last week on Thursday, the night before or the afternoon before a major catalyst, we had a breakdown. It's right over here, okay? Right, it was this right over here. And then we saw increased selling pressure when the catalyst came. And then yesterday, before a major catalyst, which was the FOMC today, we saw some big buying at the end of the day. So I was saying last night on stream, it's kind of like the exact opposite of what happened last Thursday, which was bad. And today it ended up going out or turning out to be pretty okay. And just from a technical standpoint, I was also talking about this wedge. I think it, but this wedge over here, you pretty much gapped up out of it. There's a few other things, but if you watched last night's stream, I was saying that I'm looking for a short-term bounce in the market. Got a bounce today, up 1.5% on most of, or well, the IWM and the SPY up 1.5%, and the NASDAQ and the QQQ up 2.5%, and then the ARKK almost up 7%. So big bounce today. You had the FOMC 75 basis point hike, and this was your reaction. I think you sold off at first, and then you ended up rallying when Powell was talking. But this is pretty much when the FOMC happened, and sold off first, and then Powell started talking, ripped. You sold off a little bit, but then you just ripped and closed. That was a price action today. I've kind of drawn out this little 1 hour range. I probably extended a little bit going into tomorrow. It's a little bit of a range between like 370 and 382-ish for the S&P 500. It's kind of using these lows. These used to be the yearly lows, May 20th, as resistance now. If this is able to get broken tomorrow, you've got 385 resistance, and then after that, a gap fill around 390-ish. Those are two next levels to the upside for the SPY. The downside, you can't hold this like 378, 379 area, which was resistance the past couple of days from all of these highs. If you can't hold that tomorrow, then you have some support around 371, 372 in this area. So those are all your levels for the short term for the S&P 500. At 372 so far has been your bottom, and that's the level I was talking about before we got here. I was talking about this, I think, on Monday night, or maybe even last week, where this is your lows from last March, and it's also the demand line of this wedge. And spent 3 days holding that now. So I think if you can really hold above 382, 383, that could give some room up to this, at least just a first gap fill around 390-ish on the S&P 500. If you can't, then look back down to that 372 level. That's how I look at the S&P 500 short term. Moving on to the QQQ. Nice bounce today. Same thing. This has got a gap fill around 288.6. All right. And kind of looks weird, but remember this descending broadening wedge. Broke out of it, then you sold off again, but you kind of have been like back testing it, and now you're kind of bouncing off that previous supply line. Just an interesting formation. We're going down to the 1 hour. Your levels, really nothing else to say here. Nice bounce after the FOMC. If you also watched last night's stream, we were talking about how the QQQ kind of looked like Wyckoff accumulation. Well, it played out pretty nicely. It pretty much broke out at the open and then spent like a few hours back testing until the FOMC. Then it back tested the breakout. It flipped this resistance all the way over here. That different color. Flipped all of that resistance into support over here. So resistance flipped into support intraday, and then you got a nice little move close. So that was the price action on the Qs today. Going into tomorrow, I mean, there's a lot of levels here, honestly, on lower time frames. I'm just going to chart them all. Actually, I already have pretty much most of them charted. If you want to take a screenshot, go for it. So that's your QQQ heading into tomorrow. Moving on to Russell 2000 for small caps. You're bouncing at a very critical area, and again, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum on all of these indices, you've already got it starting on the QQQ, okay? For all of these indices, keep an eye out for potential classic bullish divergence. This is, in my opinion, a very, very big formation that we have not seen. I mean, last time we had classic bullish divergence on the S&P 500, it's pretty much right over here. And that led to about an 8% rally in just a few days. Okay, it's not confirmed. It's only developing for right now. But this is something you want to start keeping an eye on in the overall markets. The Russell 2000 is back testing these previous resistance areas as support for the second time this year. If this holds, I do think the Russell could have a very nice rally, maybe like the end of this month in July. because that means not once but twice you're holding previous pre-COVID resistance levels as support, getting classic bullish divergence, a short-term double bottom that could set up a really nice move for a lot of small caps if these levels hold. It's a it's probably the most important level for the Russell 2000. These are my levels on the 1 hour chart. On the 5 minute, tested a breakout. Been seeing resistance around 172. This little 172 zone so far this week. It tested a breakout twice but was not able to hold above it, so look out for that level tomorrow. Finally, ARK ETF, big bounce off the 35 level, which was your previous yearly lows and also a low from 2018, 2019 pretty much. 35 is your key level for the ARK ETF. Today it did fill the gap that we were talking about last night, which is at 40. You fill that 40 gap, and that's pretty much where you kind of chilled out for the rest of the day. And these are my 1 hour levels for the ARK ETF. So that's your overall market update. The XLE sold off even more today. Huge win. If you watch last week's streams, I was talking about how I was bearish on the XLE, literally at the top. This was the exact day I was saying I was bearish on the XLE. June 8th, that was your top. I was saying it looks like a top to me. I literally marked it, and I alerted puts to premium members that day. And when I alerted those puts, I shared these targets I shared stock price targets when I alerted the puts. And the final target was achieved today. Those puts went from $1.18 to $8.10 in about exactly a week. So those puts went up about 600% in 1 week. Now, when I alerted these originally, it was June 8th, a week ago, and I alerted this, let's say, at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. a week ago, I alerted these. But that night, June 8th on stream, I also told all of you that I was bearish on the XLE. Literally, this, you can go back. The stream's titled like is energy, oil, and gas topping out. It was that stream. And even if you're not in premium and you didn't get this puts alert, I did show you that night these 5 downside targets, and it still was right over here. So you could have already just, looked at it yourself. And yeah, that was probably the trade of the month so far, this put idea on the XLE. For anybody who waited for the final target, that's on 600% profit in a week. Not much else to say. That's just a little bit of an update on that. And yeah, what else is going on? BlackBerry, the only remaining ongoing swing, was hanging on by a thread yesterday, closing just above the stop. Nice little bounce today. Fill this gap from the gap down on Monday. Nothing has really changed, to be honest. You got another gap fill at 580-ish, and then hopefully you can hold the lows around the stop. Again, this is still hanging on by a thread. It still has broken out of the very long-term wedge. This is it. It's either reverses here or it gets wrecked. There's no other way to put it. This will be like a major higher low double bottom. This is like this type of stuff that could reverse a trend majorly, but you need some more confirmation, and it's still a little bit of a nail biter because you're right above the stop area. So we'll see what happens in the next few days. Fisker was up 6% today. You watched last night's stream. I was talking about this little 1 hour channel. I actually did play the breakout of this channel today. Not the initial breakout, but it had like this 850-ish level of resistance, and it broke out of it, and then the FOMC happened, and right over here I was getting Fisker calls. I got $9 weekly calls. I took profits probably, I think, around over here, because it was testing these lows. So this was pretty much like my target, this low, so almost a high of day. But yeah, I had a nice little day trade on that initial breakout today, but I'm still watching Fisker. It just broke out of this 1 hour down sloping channel. Technically still have this gap fill just under $9. Those are my levels. I did share this in Discord as well, probably around like 850-ish, I think. Closer towards that breakout level. So I made a nice little intraday move, close up 6%. It's still in this very long-term wedge. This is where things can get very, very interesting. If these lows hold for the second time, very similar to the Russell 2000, right? The small cap ETF, these lows hold again. This is the type of formation that could set up a monster rally on names like Fisker, on a lot of other names if they can hold these lows. And there's no certainty that they're going to hold these lows, but it sets up a low risk, potentially high reward scenario. It sets up an optimal reward to risk scenario, where the risk is literally just under you because you know where your lows are at, and then your next resistance is much above you. So very interesting. Pretty much a bullish engulfing. It gapped up a little bit. But these are definitely interesting formations you want to keep an eye on. All right. That's Fisker. CLOV was up 6% today. Did show you all this pattern. It bounced off the demand line. You've got some classic bullish divergence developing. On the 4 hour, it's kind of flipped this supply line into a demand line. And then on the 1 hour, we did talk about this wedge breakout last night. And then I said that this 220 to 224 area is your resistance. And that was your resistance for most of the day. Got a little bit above it, but couldn't really hold it. So if CLOV can clear 224, then you don't have much resistance back up till 250. So those are your levels on CLOV. That's where it's currently at. And yeah, that's the one ongoing swing Blackberry, and then Fisker and CLOV. RDBX, this is the name I'm watching. I did get some lotto calls earlier today. Didn't alert it or anything. I'm not alerting it just because there's not much I can do on like a daily chart like this, but I'm just looking at this on low time frames. I see this like triangle pattern over here, and then on the 15-minute, it broke out of this wedge. This is a name that I think we looked at earlier this week on stream. I know a lot of people are talking about this name. Did have a crazy move the last few weeks, and then it pulled back like crazy the last few days. But now it's kind of testing a break out of this wedge. I did pick up some weekly lottos, very small size. And it did actually have a nice move after hours. Hopefully that move holds. Let's see what happens. But I just wanted to mention that. Hoping for the best, but anything's possible. And we were talking about the chips last night on stream for quite some time. NVIDIA up 4% today. MU was only up 1%. AMD was up 3%. So nice bounce day for those. Testing some key levels like we talked about last night on stream. This is the second time you've bounced off the demand line for MU. Another large lower wicked candle. This is one I'd keep a very close eye on for tomorrow, MU. Go down to the 1 hour chart. You've still got this gap fill at $63. It's very interesting area. Not a lot of resistance if you can clear out of this little consolidation zone. Like NVIDIA already kind of made a move, you know, and that's already kind of happened, but MU really hasn't yet. Maybe even the same for AMD. This one's a little bit, you know, I'd rather it start bouncing over here on support, but yeah, I'd say out of the three, I'd probably keep an eye on MU. We can just hold this low around $58. We also looked at Meta last night. That was up a few percent today. It's still testing the PCZ of this shark. Bullish shark. You've got triple classic bullish divergence at the PCZ of a bullish shark on Meta. That is very interesting. Keep an eye on that. Amazon as well. We've been talking about this key 102 level from these previous highs flipping into lows recently. You got a 5% bounce off that level today. So very, very key areas being held for right now. And that could change in a couple days, but on names like Fisker, CLOV, MU, NVIDIA, AMD, Meta, Amazon, very key levels being held. I'm just kind of recapping some of the names we talked about last night on stream. Didn't do a chat roll call, so what's up? D, JG, Corey, AK, B Johnson, Pleberate, Tino, sorry if I mispronounced that, Bala, William, Risky Seeds, IMI, I Repair, and Papa Strata. How you doing? So yeah, if you're in chat right now and you want me to look at a ticker, drop it in the chat and I'll take a look. Nothing I say is financial advice. And yeah, no option recaps from today. Didn't alert anything really. I alerted something towards the end of the day, but that's flat for 8. So nothing to really recap there. Still waiting out to put out some new swings. Just being patient for right now. That's announced it good. Glad to hear that. Take a look at Tesla. All right, so SOFI, not a lot going on in the daily. I think a few nights ago we did identify this bullish bat on stream. playing out to an extent. Nice bounce off the PCZ. I've got some levels charted. Really not much else to say. There's not a lot going on. Nice bounce to, I mean, it was flat today technically, so not much today actually, but nice bounce at the open, I guess. But what else has this Gartley, or not Gartley, but bat looking structure, but also mixed with the Gartley? What else has a 1 hour harmonic that I was talking about on the Discord yesterday? Tesla, which is another ticker request. That's played out pretty nicely. So I identified this like right at the lows. Let's see if we can find the screenshot so I can boost my ego a little bit here. I don't remember when I sent it. There we go. So I sent this yesterday. You can see right at the PCC. It was 636. And a nice bounce off that level, up about 7% since then. And just ran up to the resistance zone. I think I had that charted yesterday as well. Yep, that blue resistance zone. It went from the PCC to resistance. Can you believe it? So nice move there. Testing 700 now. It's a very key level in resistance and support in the past. It's being tested as resistance for right now. I didn't even notice this, but there was even classic bullish divergence. Wow. On higher time frames, interesting. We got some 4 hour hidden bullish divergence developing, the potential for a double bottom. I think as long as you can hold that 622 area on Tesla, which is something that we've been talking about for a long time, it looks okay to me. Now this 622 level dates back to this support from July of last year. So that's the key level that hopefully can hold, and kind of even looking like a dragon pattern. It can break that supply line as well. So hold 622, break the supply line. Maybe $8 could be tested next. I don't know about like right next, but like soon-ish, maybe. Depends on the market. Not financial advice. Charge point up 7% today. Just still in a very long-term wedge. There's not much to say. Got some hidden bearish divergence developing on the daily. On the MACD. Got a gap fill to the upside around 1430. Got support around 1150-ish. Really a little bit of hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour. That's what you've got going for you on charge point. Then next up, it's just kind of in a range between 25 and 29. Breaks to the upside, you've got a gap fill at 33. If it breaks down, you've got a swing low at around 22-ish, mid-22s. If for short term, and then longer term, this might be a cipher. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Point's a little bit too shallow, but apart from that, it is a cipher with a potential high-low double bottom. But you'd want this to be down over the point. Shopify. It's trying to hang on to this little level. It's in a range between 414 300 pretty much. So that's support. It's no coincidence why it's holding this little 300 area for now. Used to be some strong support back in March during the COVID crash. This is literally a COVID crash. Very key level, this little range over here I can draw. So that's where you're currently at on Shopify. Key level being tested. Google bouncing off of support. This used to be resistance in March of last year, and you're holding it for right now. Probably look at it like this, short. See which way this breaks. How are you doing overall, champ? All right. I haven't really traded that much this week. Like really, it's been sitting on my hands, just waiting for more clear variables. OCGN, thank you for asking though, and I hope you're doing well. OCGN in a little bit of a wedge. And shorter term, it had this bear flag. Broke down. So that's where you're at. Not much else to say. Got support around 172-ish. Resistance at 291 and then $4, and I've got some more charted at much higher levels. There's GLD track with XAU roughly, not perfectly, but you know, roughly. We can actually, if you ever want to check that, I have TradingView. Pull up one of the tickers that you want to compare to the other, and then I think it's this. It's this plus button right over here. And we just look up, clear up the chart so you can see it easier. Compare it, LD. Like change. Like it's a lot. Second. I don't know if you can change how it looks. It's really hard to see it. Like, there you go. You can see it better here. Orange is GLD, and then the candles are XAU. So yeah, it does. Alright, so that's going to be it. Thank you for watching the stream. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out the links in the description. If you want to join Premium, it's cool. But would love to have you in here. The link for that's in the description. Did share a new, remember I was talking about those, the recent swing, the recent option swing I shared was the XLE puts last Wednesday. Those ran 600% from then till now. I did share a new option swing today. It's completely flat. See what happens over the next couple of days. Can't promise a 600% return again. Past results are not always indicative of the future, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, all right. Swings will be out when I feel that there's a better market environment for them. Until then, patience is going to be required. And always, you know, keep an eye on how the ETF simulator is doing. I think we're going to start updating this again in the next couple of weeks. Just kind of been letting a lot of positions sit there and marinate, a word to use. So that's where we're at. Join the Discord. I'll see you there. And peace out. Have a good night.